to my head. You asked me to repeat myself, but you already know what I said. Take a step back, you cool alligator. I tried to be friends, but you snuffed me at the cradle. Punch a sock and lock it, you don't own the table. You're about to learn first what they told you in my favor. Does the sky ever answer? Or are we just lost in the race? Or are we chasing those flickers in cold outer space? At your borderline. My head swimming from these crushed up sevens. 2 more drinks and I'll feel like heaven. All this talking that started my engines revving. I hope God doesn't keep tabs after 11. Take a step back, you ain't no James Taylor. You act like everyone on the block needs to pay it. Put a socket and lock it, you don't belong at my table. You're about to learn first what they told you in my fable. Does the sky ever answer? Or are we just lost in the race? Or are we chasing those flickers in cold outer space? Stars at your borderline. Trouble starts at your borderline. Let's leave behind all these doubting voices. Let's go somewhere we can make loud animal noise. Let's go make animal noises. I picked you over all of the choices. Let's leave all these doubting voices. Let me take you somewhere where we can make animal noises. Let's go make animal noises. I picked you over all of the choices. Let's leave all these doubting voices. Let me take you somewhere where we can make animal noises. Let's go make animal noises. I picked you over all of the choices. Let's leave all these doubting voices. Take you somewhere where we can make animal noises.
All right, everybody. How's everybody doing today? We're out here on Wednesday. We got Bruvs Unite, and in the bullpen, we got the man, the myth, the legend himself. We got James. James from across the pond. How you doing, bro? What's the word with you? I hear the sun is finally shining over there, James. Is that the truth?
Yeah, we've got it until Tuesday. We've got it on temporary loan. We've taken out we've hocked all the gold, hocked all the silver, got the sun out on temporary loan until Tuesday, which is really annoying because I've got to go and get a fucking tattoo on Tuesday. So I don't want to be getting walking around town getting fucking pissed on stuff like that. So it's a bit annoying, but yeah, I love it. I was got out in the field today, got out in the countryside, stretched my legs. Everyone's out, families, kids, the
Nice.
dogs are all having a great time. It's nice that the sun's finally made an appearance after this long autumn and winter.
Now,
I mean, I had hair.
Yeah.
I had hair the last time there was sun. I had hair.
Yeah. Now, how long until you start running again? You doing your cross country run?
If I can get a run in at the weekend, I'm hopeful. I looked at it today and the ground is not firm yet. It's still you imagine a farm. It's all squelchy, it's all mushy. You know, the dogs love it, but I don't particularly care for it. I want the ground to firm up, but hopefully this weekend I've got my Mickey Mouse GoPro, the one that fell off the back of a lorry. So get that sorted, and see if I can like show everyone how it's done. You know, I want to teach the kids and the older people. You know, how to stay fit and active when you get into your 40s. I know John's had a bit of an accident.
Oh yeah.
I told John, I said, when you get to our age, you've got to avoid two things. You've got to avoid stairs and soap.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because I'll tell you, slip in the shower. If you do a hip at our age, mate, they'll take you out back and kill you like old Yeller. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so this is my theory. So for people who don't know, and I'm guessing everybody doesn't know, Miami John got in a bit of a scuffle. I think he broke his nose, man. I think that he's a secret assassin and he had a job go kind of bad. He uses the cover story like he fell in the shower getting out or something like that. But I don't believe that, bro. I think he was trying to ice somebody, and he had to fight some Krav Maga or judo or jujitsu or something, and the guy broke his nose and he got a cut on his forehead. We'll see if we can't get him on in here. Otherwise, he's at home recovering. Shout out to you, Miami John, DJ John. I hope you get to feeling better. Let me just jump into the chat real quick. Say what's up to everybody. We got Seashell SoCal. What's up, Pat? Good to see you as always. Monk Fruit. I hope you're having fun out there making your deliveries in Indiana. Bro, it's hot as hell out here where I am. I know it's kind of cold back there. I hope it's not too bad back there. We got King Yeti. Always great to see you. Shout out to you, bro. We got Mr. Jeekia and Hillbilly Harry. Let's fucking go, Jared, as he works his way to the 2028 Olympics. We're all pulling for Jared over here. Stellar guy. A couple more announcements real quick. I got that veto drawing contest. Don't forget, people. Draw a veto. Put it on X and tag me, and we'll get that going. There are going to be prizes. The contest ends April 11th. James did one of his. Look at how good that is, bro. Bro, that made me laugh so hard when I first saw it. That little patch of hair. He's got another one right there. It looks fantastic. Did he even color it? So let's fucking go. We've had some great entries so far. Remember, tag me on X. Ray is happy, okay? Then if you want to, go ahead and go over here and grab a mug on rayishappy.com. We got the St. Merch mug. Got a whole bunch of mugs up here. A lot of fun. If you want something to make you laugh in the morning, grab that. All right. What else we got on here? We got, I'm making some stickers, some holy cards, some merch holy cards. I'm trying to do a holy candle. We'll see if that comes out. I'm talking to a vendor right now. Working on the website. Working on getting prints in line, t-shirts, and trucker caps. So working on all that stuff, having a good time. As always, follow my co-host over here, James Domenico Graben, on James Domenico Graben on X, and James Domenico Graben 81 on YouTube for a lot of his takes, and soon to be jogging videos. So I think that's all the announcements that I got. Let's fucking go.
God, I hate X so much. I hate X.
Bro, I don't know what's going on, but like in my DMs, I can't even see pictures right now. They're not showing up. Why do you hate X, James? What's going on with your X?
It's just such a garbage platform, isn't it? Since I know I don't hate Elon Musk. I don't like him. I don't care about him one way or the other. I don't think about him. But like, it's a broken platform, isn't it? It's all on my end. I can never do anything. You know what I mean? I'm always screwed in the chats. I'm always like screwed. Like every day I get logged out. Time, you know what I mean? And then I have to fucking jump through hoops to get back in. It's just a mess all the way around. It seems broken. I think he's employed too many Indians. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bro, I don't know what they're doing. I think they're trying to introduce AI or something into it. I do know for sure that Amazon had a crash maybe about a week or 2 weeks ago when they tried to bring AI code online, and it fucked everything up. It was terrible. They tried to blame the engineers on it. They fired a lot of their engineers that were writing code and tried to go with AI, but it didn't work. So I got a suspicion that X is doing that, and YouTube is doing that as well right now. But I don't know, bro. It's crazy. I guess
have to bear in mind as well, in this side of the pond, we've also got the online safety bill.
Oh, yeah.
So after time, I can't see what the fuck's going on. As soon as someone posts something and it's slightly risque, it gets blocked out. And then I've given them I've given my date of birth, I've given my age, I've like sent fucking photos, like, you know, selfie IDs, done all that shit a million times, and then gets wiped the next day. I'm like, it's fucking exhausting, mate. It's like jump through her just to see like some piece of art with a bit of tit. You know what I mean? That gets blocked. It's like it's supposed to be to stop children and watching pornography to clamp down on like child abuse and shit.
Yeah.
But it's just overreaching as usual. It blocks everything.
Yeah, don't hide my titty. I'm just trying to see a little bit of titty, a little bit of cake, maybe. You know what I'm saying? You just
bit of Scarlett Hanson and Ralph.
Yeah, I guess all is right in the world. We got Ralph back in Mexico, and I don't know what they're doing, Scarlett Hampton. But you were telling me you had to upload all kinds of stuff, take a facial picture to get verified on YouTube and all that. Is that what you had to do?
Yeah, it was all I had to do, right? When you first do it, you just do the tick, don't you? You say, do you want to do like ID? Do you want to send them your driving license or your passport? Or do you want to say, there's 2 months of history? And I'm like, well, I'll do the 2 months of history. And that was like 3 years ago. And I'm like, shit, I want to do long form videos, mate. If I'm going to be out jogging, I'm going to be out running.
Yeah.
It's going to be more than 3 minutes. You know what I mean? So I want to upload long form videos, like half an hour, whatever. And they're like, fucking make you jump through hoops. It was like driving license, passport. Here you go. Turn to the left. Turn to the right. Stick your tongue out.
Yeah.
You know, wiggle all about. And I was like, oh, fuck me, mate. It's supposed to be 6 seconds, more like 6 years.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. They're going crazy on this censorship. We got D-Wag in the chat.
Discord is another one. You've got to be verified for Discord now as well.
Yeah,
it's like they want you to jump through hoops.
Yeah, I don't do that. You know, no, thank you. D-Wag in the chat. He says he thought DJ John without DJing that Proud Boys concert or something, and he thinks Antifa mobbed on him for having beats. That's possible. Maybe DJ John is moonlighting as a DJ as he is, and he got beat up for his beats. Maybe, I don't know. That could happen. But no, Ralph's back in Mexico. Everything's all good. Now we've got. Did you by any chance see that Gypsy Crusader fight that was on Brand Risk? That was pretty hot, bro. I don't know if you caught that.
Gypsy Crusaders. He's an impressive individual in the sense that he has his belief system. And he sticks to it, and he doesn't back down, and he lives it every day. But when I saw that fight and I saw him walk into the ring, I thought, fucking hell, he's in trouble. Do you know why? Because he was so bulked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, mate, you are going to burn through oxygen so quickly because you're so muscled. You are going to, by the end of the fight, mate, you are going to be exhausted. You might not make it. You might lose to this fat guy purely because you're in such great shape.
Yeah.
Because if you look at boxing in the heavyweight division, the best boxer in the heavyweight division on the planet is Alexander Usyk. Now, Alexander Usyk is a natural cruiserweight. He carries weight well, you know what I mean? But he's lighter. And he's able to beat people like Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua is so big and so muscled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or Fury's so tall and not really, he's in pretty bad shape. So he's able to dominate a generation of fighters that are not particularly good. I thought Gypsy Crusader was going to be fucked just for the sheer fight. He was going to burn through oxygen with all that muscle.
Yeah,
I thought he could be in banging trouble.
He was really big, and he was like King Yeti says, he was stiff. He was very stiff on his walkout. Yeah. And as he kind of danced around, he looked more like, who was that guy from like Scream, like the killer? Like he just walked after the other guy. And I was like, wow, this is like a horror movie. He's coming to kill this motherfucker. And you could tell he was gassed out. And, he comes from predominantly Muay Thai background, kickboxer kind of background. And so you could tell he wanted to like knee the guy a couple of times. He threw him down one time in that Muay Thai fashion, and he wanted to kick him. And, but he wasn't very springy. He wasn't very agile on his feet. He just kept coming. And I give props to him for being relentless. And also, everybody in the crowd was against him except for Charleston White. Charleston White was his only supporter. I thought that was poetry right there. Chef's kiss. Mwah. What do you think about that?
And the funny thing is, well, the thing about it was he did like an hour. I can't remember who did it. I saw bits of it on YouTube. I think D-Wade posted it in the chat. He did like this hour interview, and he was talking. I don't know who Charleston White is, because he wouldn't, would he? Because he doesn't care for black people. He doesn't like black people. He doesn't follow black people. In fact, he hates black people. And it's like, you know what I mean? I'd say what he said. I would say how he says it, but obviously we can't on YouTube. Yeah. It's like fucking. He was really stoked. See, if someone likes him or someone respects him or someone says something about him, he thinks, well, they're going beyond their race. They're not just playing the race card. I think he likes it, and I think he respects Charleston White, because Charleston White is not. He's not your black guy's black guy, is he? He's not your white guy's black guy. He's just a guy who says what he wants, says what's on his mind, doesn't play by any rules. you know, colours outside of the lines, and I think he respects that because he's trying to. He bucks the system like Charleston White does, and like I've got all respect in the world for Gypsy Crusader because he's a smart guy, you know what I mean. But he's also a tough guy. I didn't realise how built he was. When you see him, when you see him interacting with people, he was double what I thought. Double the size. I saw the black guy and saw that he was out of shape and flabby, and I thought he ain't gonna be much. You know what I mean? But I was shocked by the sheer physicality of Gypsy Crusader. He's a physically imposing man, and then at the end, he's got the attack there, and he did it. He fucking threw it. He threw the
Roman
sign.
Salute. Yeah, he threw the Roman salute.
He threw the Roman salute in front of Aiden Ross, and I was glad he did it in front of Aiden Ross because Aiden Ross was a complete fucking hater there, man.
Oh my god!
It's like he was cheering again, and then who's the other guy who was with fucking Ed Matthews?
Well, he said that he's not going. Gypsy's not going to fight again in Brand Risk because they all turned on him, even the announcers. It was completely unprofessional. And I caught another hour of Gypsy Crusader talking on an interview, which is streaming. He said he only had 2 weeks to train for that, and he couldn't go into any gym because no gym would let him come in and train. And so only on 2 weeks training, that's insane.
I think it's like, you have to understand there's certain people, aren't there, that have got mind over matter. You see some people, right, and you know they've got it up here. They've just got a strong will. They've got a will of iron. You know, I think his brother was his like ring man.
He was his corner man,
his brother cornered for him, and you know what I mean. His brother helped him train, and it was like sometimes you have to do that. It's a bit like Rocky and Mickey, isn't it?
When it felt like that.
When everyone's against you, you kind of just have to batten down the hatches. You know, put your back against the wall, and he come out there and he performed. It must be awful, right?
Yeah.
I know. Look. People are going to say he's a controversial character. He's not controversial. He just takes a side of the argument that you don't like. It's like in this country, you can be as far left as you want to be in this country, and everyone will pat you on the back and say you're the best thing since sliced bread. But if you're slightly right of centre in this country, you're treated like a pariah. And he is very right of centre, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he gets treated like an absolute pariah. And that's, you know, it's not fun living your life like that, is it? But he's dedicated, and he fronted up in a hostile crowd, and he did the business. You got to respect him for that,
bro. He put his money where his mouth was. He acted like a man. The very touching part about it was the fact that his brother cornered him, and that was very touching to me. You could see when he won by split decision that how much pressure was on him. Hobo Chili Recipe, shout out to you in the chat. He says, if we all had the mentality of Gypsy Crusader, I think shit would look a lot different. I agree with you on that one. Shout out to Ray Wombat. He says, hey, friends. What's up, Ray Wombat? Good to see you. Always great to see Ray Wombat. So, yeah, it was, you know, and then he had a tremendous amount of pressure. I don't think a lot of people understood that it was make or break for him at that point. He accepted this challenge. If he had lost, all his streaming was gone. Nobody would be interested in him anymore. It's all over with. And he did it against all odds. He only had his brother in his corner, so I thought that was a tremendous performance. And also, the entire Brand Risk was against him. Even Aiden's own dad called him and said, "Yo, that's not professional." They also called the people who scored it, the boxing commission. They called them racists, which is crazy because they were all Latin descent or Cuban. They weren't white or black. They were pretty much in the middle. What do you think about that, James?
You have to understand, like. It's amazing because it's kind of like he entered a rigged game. Imagine he took this, right? Everyone's against him. You know, they were probably going to try and rig it against him. You've got a commentary team that's like fucking totally biased. He can't get a trainer. You got no one to fucking spar with. You just got you and your brother, and you go into the ring. And he was marked up. You know, he took some licks. His face was marked up at the end. And you, like you said, you could see, you know, when someone's got like that heavy weight on their shoulder, then suddenly they go like this.
Yeah.
It felt like the weight of the world because, like you said, he's got a particular aura, and his aura is he fucking shows the flag, he shoots the gun, you know, he dresses up like the Joker. If he'd have lost to a black man, any black man, shit fighter, medium fighter, good fighter, some bum off the street, it will always be, you lost to a black guy. You're racist. You lost to a black guy. A black guy kicked your ass. He wouldn't be able to do his shit more.
Right.
Like you said, it's gone completely down the toilet. He lives and dies by basically being the white guy that gets over on everyone else.
Yeah.
And the moment someone comes along and gets over on him, he's fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's his whole shtick. That's how he makes his money. So he risked it all. He got the result. I think the split decision. He was gassed at the end, wasn't he? You could tell because he was fucking huge, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He in there. He looked like fucking. He looked like Anthony Joshua versus Usyk.
Yeah,
if you know
he
what I
was
mean.
huge. He looked like a video.
The size differential.
He looked like a video game character. We got King Yeti in the chat. He says prison made him racist too. Still didn't join the Aryans. Yeah, don't join the Aryans. You know, it's a little bit different. I've been watching a lot of prison stuff, reading a lot of prison stuff. You pretty much have to do that based upon politics in order to get through prison.
Yeah, you have to go with someone.
It's like Vegas. So what you talk about in Vegas stays in Vegas. What you got to do in prison, you got to do to get out. To get
Wes Watson did, didn't he? I know we're going to talk about it later, but Wes Watson did. When he went into prison, he hooked up with the Aryan Brotherhood because he wasn't the Wes Watson you see now. He was a lot skinnier. You know what I mean? He palled up with people that could protect him. You know what I mean? So he palled up with the Aryans because he's white.
Yeah, facts. Zaid in the chat says, Bruvs, shout out to you, Zaid. Bruvs, right back at you. We got Hobo Chili. He says, we had racism in the Army, and I'm sure Ray can attest for this in the Air Force. Speaking of Ray Wombat. But it was usually coming from the blacks. Bro. You got to tell me twice. I get how that goes.
I saw some servicemen cheering Gypsy. You know, they did it when they saw him when he was doing one of his little streams. The servicemen were there and they were Latin. You know, they weren't all white, and they saw Gypsy Crusader, and you should have seen the beam across their face. They fucking loved it. You know why? Because they respect a guy like that. He's an actual tough guy. He's physically imposing. He stands by what he says, and whether you agree with it or whether you don't agree with it, it's neither here nor there. He's a principled individual, and you have to understand people like that are like Nick Fuentes back in the day. They were getting fucking debanked and everything. You know what I mean? Couldn't get a job. You know, couldn't earn money. You imagine trying to wake up every day wondering where your next few quid's going to come from. You know what I'm saying? That takes balls.
Yeah,
you got to respect it.
King Yeti also says Wes Watson was never an Aryan. Yeah, we want to make sure to state that because that's some important politicking right there. I don't want to fall on the wrong side. I want to respect everybody and all that good stuff. But also, James, what about the Afro Man trial? Have you heard about this going on right now? It's a little bit kind of like what we just talked about with the racial lines. And the Afro Man's a black guy in America where he was basically lied on. The cops went in there and raided his house and started stealing his money. He filmed it all with his security cameras, made a rap song about it, and started releasing the rap song. Now the cops are suing him because he released the rap song. How funny is that?
That's pretty crazy. I mean, I saw that John of Dr. Till fame was posting it. I was like, who's this random black guy? I was like, I haven't got a clue. You know what I mean? I was like, I haven't got a clue. This guy. I think Afro Man, was he big in the 90s or something? I don't know how far he goes back. I seem to remember he had a song over here in the 90s, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. He got his money off rapping, and the cops came in. One of the cops was sleeping with an informant that I think he was sleeping with, and she got mad at Afro Man, went and told lies on him. And then the cops raided his house looking for kidnapping and drug trafficking, I believe. They went through all of his pockets in his suit. He has video of them taking like his money, like $100 bills. They were also looking at his pound cake. He made a funny song called I Bet You Want a Piece of That Pound Cake. They played it in court. If you guys want to follow it more, go watch Nick Rekieta. He's covering it live every day. But it's a wild situation, man. And it kind of cuts both ways. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think there was a Netflix film recently that I watched. I really enjoyed it. I had Ben Affleck in it and Matt Damon. I can't fucking remember for the life of me what the title was. But they were basically, they went to this house and it was where they stored all the drug money.
Okay.
So then they had this like dilemma, didn't they? Were they going to steal the drug money? Weren't they going to steal the drug money? And then there was a load of bent cops that come for the money, and they had to basically like fucking stand tall and protect it to make sure the money went, they got the money back. The drug dealers didn't care about it because it's leakage. They don't give a shit, man, in the film. But other cops were trying to fucking steal the money from other cops, which is quite funny.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that happens all the time.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I mean, you've got bent cops all the time. I mean, not so much over here to the extent you've got over there, but I imagine like with the drugs and the crime you've got in places like California, I mean, you probably got drop houses everywhere, haven't you?
Everywhere.
And basically, what they do is they store the drugs and the money in the walls, don't they? Fucking gallons, in barrels and shit. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
got, so everyone knows where the houses are. So I'm not fucking surprised that shit like
Yeah.
that happens. But
The
cops will do that. It's a lot like Training Day. Remember in
I
Training
love
Day
that
when they
movie.
went there and they shook down. Who was the actor? He was a white guy. He was a bit of a stoner, and Denzel Washington and his crew went in there, didn't they? And they shook the guy down. They said they were taxing him, and then they ended up killing him, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they just took all his money, and it was all in the floorboards and all in the walls and stuff.
Yep. The movie you were referring to is called The Rip. Pat dropped that in the chat. Thanks, Pat.
It's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I like Ben Affleck when he plays roles like that, like when he's in the town and shit like that. That's where when he's doing the whole Boston thing. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah, he should stay in Boston.
I mean?
That's what he's good at. Both him and Matt Damon. Most of his other stuff I don't like. It comes off kind of weird. What about the whole Gina Ronda Rousey fight on May 16th? Do we care about that? When I see them posting more and more thirst traps, I'm like, bro, I know it's going to be bad when they're posting thirst traps. But the real question is this, James: how much money is it going to generate, and is it going to continue to ruin boxing, where we get these exhibition kind of like circus fights?
It's going to continue to ruin boxing because everything is continuing to ruin boxing. I think we're moving into this like mixed martial arts era, but even mixed martial arts is falling apart now. Just to go on a sidetrack, right? Say Ronda Rousey, she's a fighter, right? But there's a video going around Instagram and TikTok right now where they're doing Cotton Eye Joe, right? And they're doing Ronda Rousey training. And she kind of punches like this. This is how Ronda Rousey punches.
Yeah.
So imagine like that. And she's in a fight, a stand-up fight. But Netflix want people to subscribe. That's all they want. So people, they're going to get a boost in their subscriptions because people are going to watch this novelty fight. This is Gina Carano hasn't fought in what?
Forever,
10, 15
bro.
years?
She hasn't fought since she was 10.
Was she in Strike? Was she in Strike Force?
I think so.
I think she was in Strike Force, wasn't she? Yeah. So Strike Force was like 2 decades ago, right? You know what I mean? So she was in Strike Force. She hasn't fought, right? Now, Gina Carano, she came to when she was walking up on the stage, it looked like rigor mortis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was moving
stiff.
She was moving incredibly slow. You know what I mean? She looks like, I don't know what she looks like. She looks like someone from the Real Housewives. You know what I mean? She had nice coiffured hair.
She's got that big face. Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't look like a fighter. She looks like a woman, that drinks a lot of wine in the day and shags the poor boy, after he's finished doing the raking the leaves or something.
She looks
out
like
of
she
the
has
pool,
a bunch of
I mean?
fillers. She looks like she has a ton of fillers in her face. And I just, how is she cutting all that weight? I bet she's on Ozempic, so that can't be good for you. Yeah. I just saw a new study that said Ozempic reduces the thickness of your bones, the density by 30%. It's kind of like osteoporosis. So, it makes your skeletal system very fragile. And, women already have that problem with osteoporosis anyway, especially postmenopausal women. So what the hell is she doing? They're going to get, this is all just a show. Have people become that stupid, or is it like a gambling thing where they just want to gamble on something? They just want to gamble on this, the 2 poodles that are going to fight or whatever. They don't really care if it's a real fight. What are your thoughts on that, James?
The only thing I can think of is where it's like where entertainment meets sport now. If you look at, I think people find boxing boring. I think people find MMA to a certain extent boring. We get it every week. We get it 4 times a month. We get big cards. We get big boxing events, right? And a lot of the better fighters are in the smaller weight classes, and no one's ever really tuned in to watch the smaller weight classes. One of the best fighters on the planet is Naoya Inoue. But can you remember ever watching Naoya Inoue fight?
No.
You don't watch him fight. Have you ever watched the Shakur Stevenson fight? Ryan Garcia? Have you ever watched Gervonta Davis? You know what I mean? These are we don't really have the big stars anymore. And if you look in the heavyweight division, take an Alexander Usyk. He's one of the best fighters on the planet, right? And he's fighting that Paul Verhoeven. He's fighting a kickboxer. So you've got the undisputed, even though he's given up titles, you've got the undisputed #1 cruiserweight, heavyweight, one of the greatest fighters of all time. His next fight is against Paul Verhoeven, the kickboxer from K1. I mean, it's Mickey Mouse. You've got Tyson Fury fighting a nobody on Netflix, his big comeback. You've got fucking Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano. You know what I mean? They're always looking for the next freak show novelty
It's a
fight
freak show
because
fight.
that's what the casuals are going to watch. You have to understand. I lament the way the NFL is now. I think the NFL is over officiated. It lacks aggression. But if you notice, they managed to keep Travis Kelce was out the door. He was retiring. The era of the Kansas City Chiefs was over. It was done. Patrick Mahomes is coming back from an ACL. We don't know whether he's going to be good, bad, or indifferent. But they managed, Roger Goodell or whoever has managed to get Travis Kelce to stay, take a pay cut because they want Taylor Swift and Ice Spice to be at all the games, so you can get the casual fans in that every time Travis Kelce touches the ball, they go, Taylor.
That's what
Ice
it's all about now.
Spice.
Yeah, it's all going to be watered
Blake
down.
Lively,
It's all
whoever.
going to be lame. It's all going to be this fake. It's going to turn into a fake production, just like wrestling. Shout out to Hujan. He says, "Oi, bruv, grow out your hair so we can see your Norwood." I'm not sure what's a Norwood. I'm not sure.
Oh my God, that's it. That's my haters.
Yeah.
They're going to love this, right? Because they think I'm embarrassed about being bald. Newsflash, mate, I've had this haircut since I was 21 years old and I'm 45 now. Bear in mind that's 24 years. And of course, my hair is thinning. Yeah, my hair is thinning and it's going bald, obviously.
Yeah.
It's thinning and it's going bald. But it's still there, man.
Yeah, shout out to Scribe Comics and Kyle Superfan. He's like, let's fucking go. All right. So the other thing I was going to ask about is that, if that's the thing that's happening with like professional sports, what's going on with the college sports? We have the new thing now where college athletes can make millions of dollars, where previously they couldn't make any kind of money. We got March Madness coming up. I don't know if you guys follow March Madness back over in England. Obviously, it's a college tournament for top seeded American colleges for the championship kind of thing. And it's used to be a huge deal over here in America. I remember, everybody was cheering for Duke or Kentucky or UConn or, Tar Heels or whomever. And also Michael Jordan.
North Carolina, shit like that.
North Carolina Tar Heels. That was a big deal. Shout out to Professor Grass. Good to see you, bro. But does anybody care anymore? Is all sports ruined? Is it ruined by betting? Is it ruined by the athletes making millions of dollars and nobody tries anymore because nobody wants to get hurt to stop the gravy train? So what it has done is stop the authenticity of the sport. What are your thoughts on that, James?
I think you have to pay them, don't you? Because otherwise you're going to get the drain. Because usually people they've got 4 or 5 years of eligibility, haven't they? I think. You can you do your 4 years, and I think you can take an extra year's eligibility. I might be wrong on that. I'm not American,
right.
People are jumping a lot earlier, aren't they?
Right.
We had people like, I think LeBron James set the precedent, didn't he? He didn't even go to college. He just jumped from high school to the NBA. So I think you have to have you have to give them an incentive to stay in college longer, don't you?
Right.
To stay in the program. So I think that's why you need. You need to pay them. I know I used to play a game, NCAA football. I always used to play that. I loved it on the PlayStation. And the problem was, you didn't have any of the players' names. You know what I mean? Because you weren't allowed to pay them. So you had all these fake names, you know. But I think, with regards to college, college basketball, it gets no play over here because basketball's not a big thing. No, but I know your attendances. Your attendances are way bigger than what we get outside of football. The only thing that can match your attendances and the money generated and the money waged on gambling that could even come close to that in this country is football.
Yeah, facts. All right, we got a little Ko-Fi from Pat. She says, get Ray's mugs. $10. Shout out to you, Pat. Let's fucking go. Get some mugs, people. But thank you, Pat. I really appreciate that. Let's fucking go. I appreciate that. No, I agree. It's just like we in America don't really follow soccer too much or even cricket at all. We don't care. But my question is like say, for example, in your sports over there in England, is gambling ruining them? Is gambling ruining cricket, or is cricket the same?
Gambling is ruining football because you have to understand they have this. They have a relationship. If you take sponsorship, who wants to get in football? Betting firms. So they will sponsor grounds. They will sponsor advertising. They will be sponsored in the programs. When you watch the adverts, they'll be there. The training kits, they get involved. And then you get this thing where they say all the young footballers are betting too much. They're ruining their lives with drink and drugs and gambling. and they say the relationship isn't very good. So now they go, bet responsibly, put a limit on what you do, bet safely. So the relationship is now set in stone. You can't have football without gambling, and you can't have gambling without football, because football is the biggest sport, soccer, you call it. Football is the biggest sport on the planet. It's global #1. And then gambling has taken precedence in all sports, especially football. So one can't survive without the other. They're in this kind of symbiotic relationship now. So it's only going to continue, like they're going to come together a lot more. You're not going to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's going to devolve. King Yeti in the chat says he's back to watching college ball, Razorbacks anyway, now that we have a Final Four quality coach. Yeah, and if you're not going to the Final Four, it's not even fun to watch. I remember, I used to be a University of Kentucky fan for a long time, from Kentucky, UK. They in the 2000s, I think they did pretty well. Ashley, our Shin lady, says all sports are ruined since they started making superstars, soccer players such as Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham. Yeah, the stars become bigger than the brand, don't they, James?
Yeah, well, that's social media for you, isn't it? If you, one of my pet peeves, right? One of my real hates on social media is when you get an account and it'll be, I'm a Cristiano Ronaldo fan. I'm a Lionel Messi fan. So, right, their whole content will be about Barcelona. And then the moment he left Barcelona, they become a PSG fan. The moment he left PSG, they became an Inter Miami fan. And with Cristiano Ronaldo, they were a Man United fan, but then he went to Al Hilal and they're an Al Hilal fan. These people, their whole content now, they're not like where I come from, grassroots South London. I got my first football kit from my great uncle when I was 5 years old, and I've been a Crystal Palace fan ever since. I'll be a Crystal Palace fan till the day I die. I'm a proper fan. And it's like you don't have that anymore because of the online proliferation in sport. Yeah. They basically just go where their favorite player goes. They don't support the club or the team or the area. It's just like they're a fan of one person. Yeah, and their whole online persona and content is based around that.
No, I was going to ask you, what's the difference between when Michael Jordan played? We had Charles Barkley, even Shaq to some extent. They never became bigger than the league. But now I guess it is with social media that all of a sudden now they can command a larger presence than the club team themselves or like the actual team. Like you say, who is that? The Japanese guy on the Dodgers right now, Otani. I think that's how you say his name.
Shohei Ohtani. Yeah,
bro, he is huge, bro. He's way bigger than the Dodgers. They just won the World Series, but Shohei is fucking huge, man. And everywhere he goes, I saw videos. Everybody just kind of parts the Red Sea, which, I mean, good for him. I mean, yeah, at least he handles it respectfully. And that's what I'll say about the Japanese population. Thank God for them, acting with decorum and always with good manners and social etiquette. I really appreciate that. Unlike different groups of people who we won't mention or whatever. But
well, you mentioned it, didn't you, last week in passing? We were going through who are the most famous basketball players on the planet now. And the undisputed #1 is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But you mentioned the Ball family. So you've got LeVar, the father, you've got Lamar, you've got LaMelo, and you've got Lonzo.
Yeah,
so
Alonzo.
So you've got the Ball family, right? Now, no one is going to say that they're particularly great basketball players. You wouldn't say they're the elite. I think one of them, LaMelo, I think he still plays in the G League.
Yeah.
But because of their father, he demanded a shoe deal when they come straight out of college. I mean, one of them was on $20 million a year at the Bulls. I think he got traded. I think he got traded to Charlotte. I'm not sure. But they're a family that have such a big social media presence that they're able to overcome their limitations on the court.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that about him being in the G League still. I heard he got a knee injury because of those shoes. Those if you remember his dad tried to do the
big ballers or something,
big baller
bad
shoes.
Ballers.
Yeah. And that ended up hurting his knee. He got a knee injury or something like that from those shoes.
Yeah, because he was too good for Nikes, wouldn't they? Nikes weren't. LeVar, you get these dads, don't you? You get these Hollywood dads. You get these sports dads. I saw a video today. It's doing the rounds about. I think it was at a college game or a high school game.
Yeah.
They broke up a fight, and this black dad just took out the ref, just fucking laid him completely out, speared him. Like Edge from WWE.
Yeah.
He broke up a fight between his kid, the black kid, and the white kid, and the fucking dad just comes out the stands and fucking spears the ref.
Yeah.
Fucking spears him into the wall.
I
And I'm
saw
like,
that. Yeah.
but with him, he cost them a deal with Nike.
Yeah.
I think it was Nike. He cost them a Nike shoe deal because apparently Nike wasn't offering enough money. So he said, I'm going to make my own shoe, Big Baller, Big Bad Baller, or whatever it was. I'm like, mate, if I had a dad like that, mate, I'd fucking like get rid of him.
Well,
I
I
think. I'd
mean,
just say.
yes and no. I mean, he got all of his 4 kids millionaires. So yes and no. Like I understand
There
where
is
you're
that
coming
side
from.
to it, but if he started saying to me, "Oh, I could date and that," I think he'd have to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's definitely. I mean, there's pros and cons, but like they're all millionaires. So he did something right. How many other families?
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the results, can you?
Well, and remember, his kid got pinched over in China for trying to steal those glasses. Do you remember that? Like a couple of years ago, they went over there, did a college basketball exposition or something like that, and he got caught, and I think Trump had to intervene and spring him from a Chinese jail. That was pretty wild. I remember that going on.
Do you know the bit that always gets me about Japan? Brandon will probably know a bit more about this. But you know, one place where they always go and commit suicide, don't they? There's like suicide in their suicide spot or something.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
Americans always go over there, take pictures, don't they? And mug people off and take the mick. And they don't show respect, do they?
No,
that's the bit that I always find.
Well,
weird.
that's what Logan Paul got in trouble for. If you remember, he went and showed that suicide forest in Japan and showed a body actually hanging from one of the trees, bro. And then it's for somehow he gets off scot-free. He's all squeaky clean or whatever, man. You know, you could definitely tell that motherfucker's a plant. Not a big fan of him. We got Hillbilly Harry. Shout out to you. He says sports dads are the worst. I've run into a few of them. That's amazing if their kids stick with whatever sport it is. Bro, I'm sure you have. I mean, you're over there training all those kind of dojos. I'm sure you see them come and go. Sports dads can be horrible. You see him. Oh, bro, Brandon Schaub. Speaking of sports dads, Brandon Schaub got kicked out. His son plays baseball in high school. He got kicked out of the baseball game because he actually literally walked out on the field and started yelling at the umpire from the stands. How embarrassing is that? You're sitting there playing your baseball game. Here's your dad coming out to yell at the umpire in the middle of the game. Bro, what the hell is that?
He seems like that type of person, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Brandon Sharp. ROTC cover him a lot, don't they?
Yeah.
And he just seems like a clown character, doesn't he? You know what I mean? He like
bro.
hanging off Rogan's coattail. He moved out, didn't he?
Yeah.
Then he moved to Rogan's area, didn't he?
Yeah,
he moved out there and tried to.
He moved there. He moved all the way down to Austin, and he's been bitching about it. Apparently, he's going to stop his.
Hates it, can't stand it. You know what I mean? Woe is me.
Yeah, he's going to move back to California. Apparently, he's going to sell his house, and the speculation is that he's going to move back to California. How about that, right? I mean, bro, I thought about moving. Go on, James.
No, I suppose he thought he was going to be Rogan Mark II.
Yeah.
And you can't be that, can you? No. It's like he's a one-off, he's a unique, you can't like glom off and like just raid someone else's clout or raid someone else's it don't work like that, man.
I hear what you're saying, but that's how he got his whole career. He went on Joe Rogan. He was basically Joe Rogan's best friend. Joe Rogan suggested he do like comedy, get out of the fight game. He did. On Joe Rogan pulled the strings for him to get his own special. He got 2 different specials ahead of people who worked in comedy. So he pretty much did ride his coattail to millions of dollars. I think he thought that he was going to be able to move out there back to the safety of Joe Rogan, get in the mothership and resume making those millions of dollars. But apparently Joe Rogan got heckled so bad that he said, no, you ain't coming on the mothership. You're not coming on stage here, bro. You suck at comedy. You suck. And I guess he had a come to Jesus moment, and he realized that. And that's when he started trying to do trucks. And I don't know if you saw this funny video, but he was out in the desert and he was driving his Raptor. He forgot to turn off the, when the brakes, the ABS, the anti-lock brake system, and he tried to do donuts and spin, and he actually flipped his truck and ruined it. And he live streamed it, as a matter of fact. And then he tried to claim it on insurance. And because he live streamed it, the insurance said, no, it was your fault. No, we're not going to pay. That's like $100,000 truck, man. Can you believe that?
I can, because he's Brandon Sharp. You know what I mean? He just seems he does seem that type of character. You know what I mean? He seems like he's like a Mr. Bean type character. You know what I mean? He does seem like that.
No,
you know what I mean? It's like
you nailed it. Yeah.
He's like that. You know what I mean?
He's
the funny
Mr.
thing
Bean,
is,
but he's not funny.
You do have to have the thing is, like you said, you're probably right on this. You can go so far, but eventually people are going to call you out, and you have to have a bit of talent. I think it's one of the hardest things in the world to go up on stage, not freeze, and make a crowd laugh.
Yeah.
Not everyone can do it. Do you remember what Stuttering John did the other day? He
Oh,
just
yeah.
read. They killed him, didn't he? Because he just read out Kumia's rap sheet, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like fucking.
Yeah,
He died.
we got Ray Wombat in the chat. Correction, it was traction control. You are correct, sir. It was indeed the traction control. Now that I remember. Ice Dancer, good to see you. She says, Ray, I love my wolf mug. Thank you so much. Let's fucking go. I'm glad it makes you happy. Hope it puts a smile on your face. I love that you love it. King Yeti says, Joe didn't tell him to go into get into comedy. He told him to stop doing MMA and to do podcasting. Callan is the one that talked him into doing comedy. Blame Callan. Okay, well, I blame Callan then. King Yeti, you're 100% right. I blame Callan. And, you know, Callan, he ain't that funny either. Let's be real. But he's better than Brendan. And I guess he got into Brendan's mind when they were doing that podcast to try to convince him to do it. And was he just being nice and he was trying to convince Brendan to do it? And Brendan actually believed him that, hey, I can do this comedy thing. Because, bro, his what was it? Poppy, Brendan Poppy or whatever, Poppy Gringo, was terrible. I laughed at that thing for like a good 2 months, bro. That was horrible. Did you see that, James?
No, it's like I've seen some bits of it, like clips of ROTC and that. But if someone's boring and I'm not engaged in it, I'll just drop out. He was never that interesting to me. He just seemed like a boring, bland, you know, middle of the road individual that didn't really have anything interesting to say. And like you said, he was shit at comedy. But I think that's the problem now, isn't it? Everyone has to have a second life, don't they?
Yeah.
If they're an MMA fighter, they don't retire and just, you know, go off into the sunset with their millions or whatever. They've got to come back in some other guise. It's like in this country, right? We've got people that, you know, start out as actors, then they become TV presenters, or they start doing a podcast, or they become authors. You know, everyone does everything now. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It's like everyone's got their finger. They're not good at anything, but they've all got their fingers in these pies.
Yeah.
They're doing everything.
Yeah, Pat called it. It's called Gringo Poppy, and it was terrible. That's what it was called, Gringo Poppy. Yeah, it was horrible. You're 100% right. If you're not cut out for it, you haven't trained for it, or you haven't practiced it, or learned the nuances of the craft or whatever, well, you can't just walk up there and think that you're going to be better than hundreds of people. I mean, isn't that just like the same mentality as an OnlyFans girl? The OnlyFans girl thinks she's entitled to millions of dollars just because she has tits and ass. Well, hate to break it to you, but half the world has tits and ass too. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be competing against, 150 million women here in America, not to mention globally. What are your thoughts on that, James?
It's the world now, isn't it? The world's a big place, but it's a small place. Everyone's online. Everyone thinks they can make money, but they're not part of the 1%. You know what I mean? I was saying this to someone the other day. You've got people like 99.9% of streamers are crap. And that isn't me just saying that. It's just legitimately the truth. You have to be really good to be in that top 1%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
There's not many people that catch fire. Like I posted a video today of a guy that's caught fire, Jim Skin. But he didn't catch fire overnight. He works at it, and he's just a normal guy. And his whole shtick is, I'm a normal person. Do you want to follow me as I go about my normal business during the day? And he's got a funny, quirky manner. He's an Essex guy. He's a bit of a geezer. He's a bit woo. He's a bit where. And he's got 1 million followers on fucking TikTok. So he's part of that 1%. But then you'll have a load of people that are just like scraping the barrel and struggling. You know what I mean?
No,
it's fucking.
Well, you bring up a great point, and that leads us to our main topic that we're going to be talking about today is the yacht girls. And we got Meghan Markle, and I'm going to pull up real quick this right here where Sarah Ferguson, also known as Fergie, you know her as Fergie over there, James. She drops a bombshell on Meghan that she was Andrew's private yacht companion for 3 years. And that has to do with the yacht girls. I don't know how many people out there know about yacht girls. But yacht girls are the women who basically go from Hollywood. They're like the B level, C level, even some A level actresses. They aren't making money during the summer, so they go during the summer over to the Mediterranean, go on these wealthy people's yachts for a week at a time, a month at a time, couple months, whatever, and they get paid. They're basically escorts, and it's during the Cannes Film Festival, all that good stuff, Lake Como, all that stuff over there. And, Fergie dropped the bomb that Meghan Markle was basically a yacht girl, which we have long suspected. for a long time. And the way that this ties in, James, is that she's had, opportunity after opportunity given to her, and she's fallen flat on her face. Whether she's writing a book, whether she's doing, I don't know, her stupid shit about making, jam or jelly is what she just did.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, lifestyle
shit.
crap. She tried to do a podcast where she talked to strong and independent women, like she was a boss babe and all that shit. How does England see Meghan Markle? And why did she get stuck with Harry? If the prince and the king and all those people knew about this, why'd they stick her with Harry? What are your thoughts on those two questions?
There's two sides to the coin, really. You've got people that are pro-monarchy and you've got people that are anti-monarchy. So, and the people that are anti-monarchy very much like Meghan, because they see it as a way to stick the beat like King Charles and William and Kate. You'll find that the demographic will probably be like black who like her. You know what I mean? They see her as a black person, even though her dad's white. So she's mixed race, half caste. You know what I mean?
That makes
sense.
Like
they see her as a black person, even though she isn't. They just like forget that she's got a white dad because it's inconvenient. But
are they trying
the
to
thing
reach
about
out?
Meghan,
Are they trying to reach out like to the immigrants because there's so many more immigrant population in England now? Are they trying to bridge that gap and maybe try to make inroads with the immigrant population with the monarchy?
it's the hearts and minds, isn't it? I think, the problem with Meghan and Harry is they don't like playing second fiddle. And you have to understand in this country that there's a hierarchy. It was always going to be William and Kate because William is the heir to the throne. He's going to be king one day. So Kate's going to be queen. But what does Harry and Meghan do? Are they going to stay in this country? Miserable weather. I heard Meghan hated it. I can understand that. I'd imagine there's many people in the chat who are American that will come over here and really hate it because it can be a depressing place to live because of the autumn and winter. It's grim. We barely get any sun. It's a lot different to where she's come from. She had got the glamorous Hollywood life. She was coming off of Suits, wasn't she? I think Suits was done in Canada, wasn't it?
It was done in
so
Toronto,
she wasn't.
Yeah.
So she wasn't really a big mainstream actress, was she? She was someone who was struggling. And I think she was just making it. She'd done a few bit parts in a few movies. So like you said, she needed another avenue. The acting world wasn't taking off for her. So I think she always had it in her that I think her mother said or someone or a friend said, ex-friend, that she always wanted to be a princess. So she went out of her way to target princes. Now, you said she targeted Andrew, and that would make sense because Andrew's known as the Playboy Prince. He likes two things. He likes young girls. I'm saying this, young girls. I'm not saying underage girls. He likes young girls and he likes money. So, he's always open to corruption. People paid him money for access, for influence, for little tidbits that he could give to them on the markets like Epstein. So I think she would have targeted Andrew and would have married him. But the thing about Andrew is he's pretty hard to tie down and he does have a very strong bond with Fergie. You know what I mean? I think the only reason they split up is because Andrew's father, the Duke, hated Fergie and forced through the divorce. Otherwise, they would have still been together, because they've always lived with each other. You know what I mean? It's just not been official. But it doesn't surprise me because Meghan's always been that way. And I think she just transferred from Andrew to Harry. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the thing about Harry is he's never been the same since his mother died.
Yeah.
He's obsessed with his mother. He's obsessed with his mother's death. He not only blames the monarchy for his mother's death, he blames the government and he also blames the media. If you notice, Harry, I don't know how much the people in the chat follow Harry, but he's constantly suing newspapers and media in this country. And I think he also may have tried to sue some newspapers and some media companies in America. If you say anything, he's very litigious. It's quite strange because English people are not known for being litigious.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But he's very much American in that sense. He's very litigious.
Well, my question on this is, did they, because Harry was out of control. He was doing all kinds of stuff. There was all those Vegas parties that he was running around.
Nazi parties.
Yeah, naked.
Nazi parties.
He was naked. He was photographed with wearing that Nazi outfit. It's funny that, Gypsy Crusader gets a bad rap. And then here we got Prince Harry running around in a literal Nazi uniform for Halloween.
So shits and giggles for him.
Yeah, no big deal, right? Brushed it under the rug. Do you think that they gave him Megan as for her to be his handler to keep him in line, to kind of have her put boundaries on him, so to speak, to make sure he would behave from now on? Is that a possible reason?
Yeah, because he was the road prince, wasn't he? Like you said, he liked to go to all the parties, he liked to do drugs, he liked to do drinking. It was a lot like we've got a reality TV show over here, Made in Chelsea, and it's just about rich posh people that like to drink, do drugs, have sex, and party, and
Yeah.
everyone likes watching that. And that's very much how he was. So when he met Meghan, it kind of fitted the bill for what the royal family wanted. Here you had someone whose mother's as black as pitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's mixed race. The royal family is very white, very inbred. You've got someone from the outside coming in who looks very different to Kate. And it was supposed to be the new Fab Four. It was supposed to be the new Beatles. They were going to take the royal family into a modern era, and it was going to be all plain sailing. But apparently, the four of them hate each other. William hates his brother. Meghan hates Kate, and vice versa. They couldn't get on together. There was friction. And it even got to the point we were talking about Andrew and Harry earlier. Maybe this is the reason. But there's even rumors that Harry knocked out Andrew at a party.
Yeah.
Sparked him completely out. And maybe that's because Meghan had a previous sexual relationship with Andrew. Who
100%,
knows?
bro. She was fucking throwing it back. She was throwing it back on Andrew.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. One final question on this topic, James. Do you think they really have kids or no? Because you get the kids thrown in the face all the time. Then you hear that they're just actors. You hear all this kind of stuff. If that's what's going on, we see Prince William's kids, Kate, and we see their kids. We don't see Harry and Meghan's kids, and it just seems like it's contrary to their behavior. It seems like they would want their kids out front to, they're attention whores. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is there's this public-private thing. Do you remember when Meghan and Harry said they had to leave England because it was too intrusive? They couldn't get any space to breathe, and they went to Canada, didn't they?
Yeah.
But the problem when they went to Canada, they went to this really isolated place, and they weren't getting any media. They weren't getting any attention. They weren't making any money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they need the money. So they decided to go to California, didn't they?
Yeah.
The hub, Hollywood, So then they got the next Netflix deal. But the thing is, if you want to stick the beat someone with, your brother, your sister-in-law, you go, well, look at them. They've got their kids out there. They're irresponsible parents. It's gonna end up like our mother. You know what I mean? You're exposing your children to the media. You're exposing it to the government. You should have that private. I think that's just a stick to beat with Catherine and William with by saying, look, we don't expose our children. We protect our children. Ergo, we're better people. But I've never seen the kid. Apparently, it's a weird looking kid.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's got like an orange afro or something. It looks like
I don't even know.
I
don't think the kids are real personally, but I don't even know.
Am I going to get fucked for saying this? I hope not. I hope this doesn't
get arrested, bro. Don't get arrested. Well,
I think apparently it looks a bit like an orangutan. You know what I mean? You've got that orange thing going on. You know how they look. It might look a bit orangutan-y.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything that you're not allowed to say.
Don't say anything. Pat says the queen didn't like her and she knew it 100%. The queen knew that she was a bad apple 100%. But again, the queen's
her reputation's,
in my opinion.
Imagine that, right? She was known as our greatest ever monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. She was known as our greatest ever monarch. She's up there with Queen Elizabeth I and Henry VIII as like the three most iconic monarchs in the history of this country.
Yeah.
But because of what's happened with Andrew and the fact that she paid off, what's her name? What's that girl that died? Can't remember her fucking name.
Well, I mean, they got also the Jimmy Savile, all kinds of skeletons in the closet. Zaid said South Park tore him apart after that. 100% they did. Pat also says hired children. Yeah, they hired their kids. I think they did. And there's a funny aside to that.
Oh, Virginia Giuffre.
Yeah.
The Queen was the one that stumped up like the $12 million, to pay for her silence. So that kind of ruined the Queen's legacy, and now she's kind of hated.
Yeah, Hillbilly Harry says Diana. That's a good joke. King Yeti comes in with Virginia Giuffre as well. Good catch.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah.
Now, the funny thing about this is that you hear the monarchy bitching about it all the time, but then they're also extending their help to these two. And so the reason I kind of find it interesting is because you kind of see these international networks of like the secret societies and whatnot behind the scenes. They reached out to Disney to try to get Megan a role as a voice actor on like Simba or something like that. Then they reached out to Gavin Newsom. They had Gavin Newsom help them out with some paperwork when their Archwell expired and they could no longer get donations, which they were using for themselves. It came out that they were using a lot of donation for personal expenses. So California is a mess over here. And one of the very interesting things is that in California, there's this bridge project. I want to show this real quick. There's this bridge project that they have going on that right here that they built an overpass right here. And it was supposed to be a bridge project that allowed wildlife to cross right there. And it cost $114 million. It went way over budget, but they still haven't finished it. They haven't finished it. They ran out of their money. They've already, like I said, spent all the money. They haven't attached it. The wildlife ain't doing it. So California right now is just going through scam after scam after scam. And it's crazy. What are your thoughts on that, James? Gavin Newsom, there's no way he can be our next president. The motherfucker's a complete scammer, bro. He's a complete scammer. And he's fronted by the Gettys. What are your thoughts, or backed by the Gettys, rather?
I've said this like so many times now. Every stream we do this, but because I follow Hillbilly Harry, because I follow you, we do the streams together. It's so hard from the outside looking in how corrupt California actually is. I cannot get my head around it. You know what I mean? We talked about the Palisades before, didn't we? You know what I mean? And what they're doing there and building like ghetto housing there now, aren't they? Beautiful area. And they're building fucking ghetto housing that they're gonna probably house like illegal migrants and probably like they're gonna put them in there. They'll probably be like capped for affordable housing people only. You know, I look at it and I see all these like projects. I see all these people like taking money in briefcases, kickbacks. You know, they can't account for where the money's gone. It just gets moved there, disappears next. Like you said, unfinished projects. You know, it's madness. And I think when I look at Gavin Newsom, I thought one of the first things when he was going, I thought he might get replaced by Meghan Markle because I know she wants to go into politics. And at first he was talking about she tried really hard. They were pushing it and they were talking about it and Harry was talking about it, how they wanted to, like the next step was pushing her into politics. Harry kept constantly attacking MAGA and Trump. He would go on all the talk shows. He would big up his wife and say that she was like very politically minded. And I think that's why she was doing the lifestyle stuff, because it's a soft way of introducing you, isn't it? Hello, my name's Megan. This is Harry, my husband. We're a lovely family. This is how we live. We're just like you. This is how they make the run for politics. Have you seen Gavin Newsom's wife now is going around going, dyslexia.
That's right.
Shouldn't mock people with dyslexia. He's dyslexic. That's the reason why he said black people were idiots. Not because he means it, it's because of his dyslexia. That's why black people are stupid.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He stuck his foot in his mouth, called black people idiots, said they couldn't read, and now he wants to say he has dyslexia. And that's the reason why I said that. That's complete bullshit. Hillbilly Harry in the chat, a fellow Californian, he says corruption is what California does best. We make all other states look legit. That's 100% true. Speaking of that, we have Nick Shirley. I don't know if you guys will watch this. He did a video recently, a day ago, right here, where he exposes California's billion-dollar fraud crisis. I watched it. I watched Asmongold to react to it. I absolutely loved it. One of these days we'll watch it ourselves, but we'll start watching videos and having a good time if you guys would like that. I just like to keep the pace fast, and me and James are able to do that by just conversating. But what he discovered,
shooting the shit,
having a good time, bobbing and weaving, all that good stuff, making a real fun conversation, fast one at that. James, and let me sum it up for you, James. Just tell you what he found. Now, in California, there's a lot of hotel motels, and if you guys don't know what hotel motels are, they're the old school hotels that used to be independently owned. When newer hotels came in, these places became like the hourly rate, the weekly rate, that kind of thing. If you're down on your luck, you could go rent a room there for a month, for a year, whatever. and they weren't the nicest places at all. Well, since then they've
We,
kind
we
of.
call them DOS houses. We call them DOS houses in
Oh, is
this
that what you
country.
guys call them? Yeah, DOS houses. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're not very nice at all. What they've done now is they've gotten rid of those tenants, and what they've done is they've started making those places a business front. So in every room you can have a different business. And one of the big time scams that Nick Shirley just exposed was this adult daycare, healthcare, and hospice scams. And go watch the video. He goes through the whole thing and he shows how just in 2 days he walked through a couple of these hotel motels with the sheet of paper that got the public information for how much these different companies have charged California and Medicare, Medi-Cal, and it came up to over $100 million, over $100 million just in 2 of these places that he walked through. It was wild, and so that's what we got going on out here in California, people. It's very similar to what they had in Minnesota with the Somalian daycare fraud, but we have it out here. We have the same thing. We have Somalia daycare fraud as well in houses even, and then we also have the hospice, the Medicare, Medi-Cal scamming. What are your thoughts on that, James? I'm sure you have that even in England. I don't know. Do you guys have the same social facilities in England?
The thing about it is, left-wing governments at any level, right? They love social programs, right?
Yeah.
Because social programs are rife for corruption. That's what they do. That's how they funnel the money through. That's how the people get the money that they want the money to go to. It's just like it's like some kind of Ponzi scheme, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like fucking they're shaking everyone down. And the thing you know about Nick Shirley, you know why he's got the finger on the pulse? Because when he started exposing the Somalians, you know, that was the thing, you know, because they're like a protected class, aren't they?
Yep.
You know, in that area. You know, they come to that area, they built up this huge community, they've taken over its complete dominance, and they're starting to do their own little schemes and scams, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're starting to, like, you know, how they would do it. And Nick Shirley shined a light on it, exposed it. And what did they do straight away? The reason I know that people are telling the truth, because they immediately get attacked. Yep. People immediately try to cancel them. People immediately try to tarnish him and rubbish their name. They were going on about he's a fucking Mormon. I don't give a shit if he's a Mormon.
Right.
I just care if he's telling the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? He starts peeling back the layers. It's like when you peel an orange.
Yeah.
And he's slowly exposing it, and he's going around and he's exposing these things. And it always comes down to the same thing. It's like left-wing governments, left-wing institutions, corruption, you know, slushing money through, slush funds. It's like always the same.
Yeah, we got Great Cloudy Day. Shout out to you, bro, in the chat. He says he saw it.
He's good luck.
Crazy. I suspect it's happening in a lot of states. And that's what I was going to say is that, like, they were lying to us when they said that these immigrants were coming here and they're net positive to the country and to the states. They're not.
They're negative. They're all the net negative.
A huge negative, not only in the scams that they run, but also the ESL classes. English is a second language. Just think about, in California, we print everything in like 70 different languages, bro, just so everybody can have one. All that's designed to do is to keep the government and those printers in a job. These people don't care. They vote in groups for whatever's best for them. It's a lot like what Tyler Oliveira did when he also went to the Jews, the Hasidic Jews in New Jersey. In Lakeside, he did the same thing. There are these big groups of people that we keep importing. Soon, James, it's going to be the Iranians. Just watch. It's going to be the Iranians that we're going to be importing. And then we're going to be paying them millions of dollars when, buying them houses, buying them. All these people were driving around. One person had a Maybach. Everybody else had a new Mercedes or a new BMW, like a 7 Series or an 8 M8 or whatever BMW. Very expensive cars, $100,000 cars. When normal people are out there trying to break their ass, what we got, Professor Grass is out there breaking his ass with 2 or 3 jobs. You got DJ John out there doing 2 or 3 jobs, literally breaking his nose. And here, if he just went ahead and started at a hospice.
On his birthday.
On his birthday.
On his birthday.
Happy birthday to DJ John, too. Hopefully he still does that birthday stream. But, then you got immigrants out here that are just fucking bilking and scamming the entirety of the system, draining the money, and then yelling at people who paid into Social Security saying they don't deserve their Social Security. That's wild. That's crazy to me. One of the things that really jumps out at me, James, is that I remember in England, you had on the Memorial Day, you had that old veteran, and he stood up in front of everybody and he said it wasn't worth it. The sacrifice wasn't
Yeah,
worth
he cried.
it. And he cried. He cried. And I really think that that's going to be a lot of Americans, especially now that we're going to war over there in Iran for some reason. I don't know why we keep moving the goalposts. James, what are your thoughts? Why are we going to war? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you imagine that you're talking about that story when that veteran, right? He said, like, you know, I fought in the World War II. He said, I lost all my friends. He said, I come back and now I've come to the end of my life. And I look at England now, I look at Britain, I look at the United Kingdom, and I ask myself, was it worth it? And I've come to the conclusion it wasn't. And then you had this Muslim presenter, like, take him to task. What? Because of the immigrants? That's what he was alluding to. And he was like, no, because the country isn't better now than before I fought for it. We're in a worse state than we are now. We've gone through this total regression. And he was basically trying to say, but he couldn't say it because he was old and inarticulate. He was saying, if you imagine every single day a boat comes across the English Channel from France to England, right? And it gets brought here by the RNLI, which is a charity of which we all give money to. You know, we all give money because they're supposed to be they're supposed to be rescuing people at sea, but they're ferrying migrants over, give them safe passage. Now, the people come from, say, we'll do Iran. They're coming from Iran, right? They'll have no passport. They'll have no driving license. You won't know their criminal history. You won't know their work history. You won't know their age. You won't know if they're giving you their right name. They will come to the country. They'll be housed in hotels, maybe disused army barracks. They'll be given clothes, food, money, credit cards, taken on trips. And then one day they'll just walk out and you won't see them again. And they'll go into the black economy and they won't be paying taxes, net negative. They'll be taking cash in hand, taking money out of the system, running all kinds of schemes and scams. And then what will happen is they will illegally vote.
Yeah.
And like you said, they all vote as a family because they brought over their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, their best pals. They all come over and they find a place in somewhere up north in the Midlands, and there'll be a new place and it'll be Little Iran. Yeah. And then that'll be a no-go zone for white people. Yeah. And they'll say, you can't say that, that's racist. But anytime a white person goes in there, you know, they get all kinds of stick, all kinds of abuse. They get beaten up. The women get harassed. They get abused. They get spat on because they basically turn that area like little Somalia in Minnesota. And that's what they fucking do. And this war, right, I don't care about Muslims killing Muslims. I don't care about Americans killing Muslims because I dislike Muslims with a passion. But the fallout of that is we're going to get an immigration influx that's going to come to England and it's going to come to America. And these people are coming with hatred in their heart. They could end up turning into domestic terrorists. You know what I mean? They've got no love for the country. They hate it. And, you know,
well, that's the thing.
It's annoying.
That's 100%. You're 100% right. Before we move on to the war thing, the immigration situation is dire. It's almost like it's an engineered destruction to change the topology and the geopolitics of the world, which it clearly is. We got King Yeti. He says he's going to get chickens and goats and do some aquaponics with fish and food systems. Great idea. He also says he has 500 weed seeds. You got to stay happy, bro. Let's fucking go. We got Mr. Jiki out there. He says a bookkeeper that steals $20,000 from a VFW will get 10 years in prison. Where are all the arrests for the Somalians that scammed $20 million? That's the big takeaway here. All right. There is clear evidence of fraud and nobody wants to look at it. Nobody wants to investigate it. None of the governments, whether it's the city government or the state or the national government, want to look into it at all. In fact, they want to stop people like Tyler Oliveira and Nick Shirley from looking into it. And I think that's the saddest thing out of it all.
Tim Walsh is a disgrace. He's an absolute disgrace. He is.
Yeah,
I can't think. Sorry, you carry on.
I say we're constantly being told that it's inflation, that you know, the white guy doesn't work hard, that Americans are idiots, that Americans are lazy, and that's a bunch of bullshit. So, you know, that's all I got to say about that. Shout out to On the John. Good to see you. He said the government wants them there. That's exactly what it is, On the John. The government wants them there because that's the way the government is artificially supporting the immigrants and also enriching themselves at the same time. It turns out that they need to milk the goat. We are the goats that they're milking in order to give the cheese and the milk to other people and to themselves.
Do your officials have a slogan? Do your officials have? Because in our country they say it's when someone like me speaks up or someone with more prominence, like a fucking Tommy Robinson or whatever, the first thing they do to shout us down, they say immigration is our strength,
Yeah,
diversity is our strength.
yeah.
And I'm like, if that's true, how comes this country was richer, safer, more prosperous when it was a predominantly white country? Because we all got on because we were the same race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you bring in different cultures, different races, what they do is they bring their fights, they bring their wars, they bring their hatred, they bring their prejudices from their country, and they bring it onto your land. You're basically saying where they come from is a shithole, so they're coming to your country for a better life, but they don't enrich the country and make it better. They just turn it into another shithole like where they came from.
Well, and also to extend that is the fact that they're the moralistic viewpoint or the culture of where they come from is scamming is endemic within that culture. Whereas you cannot have that and a trust-based society. They're incompatible. They don't mix well. If you have somebody who's a trust-based society and somebody who's going to scam, just look at what happened in Japan. Japan, you used to be able to get anything and everything out of vending machines. You introduce a certain group of people, and now all the vending machines are getting robbed, they're getting broken. I mean, we're not even talking about white people. We're just talking about Japan and this other group of people. That's 100% what's happening.
They don't want them there, do they?
No.
Japan don't want foreigners. Russia don't want foreigners. They are adamant. You know what I mean? Ukraine, you don't really have a lot of foreigners. You know what I mean? Everyone is in love with Ukraine and Zelensky, but even he's smart enough to know immigrants are a bad thing for his country.
Well, it's
even he fucking knows, and he's a fucking clown.
Well, that's because the only immigrants they're letting in are Jews. Jews are flooding into Ukraine by the train load from Israel. They're all going there. They're going to be it's going to be the
That's the next stop, eh?
Yeah, the Greater Israeli Project. And the reason that being is because over there in Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. They have the most fertile land in all of Europe. King Yeti says most immigrants don't want to used to want to assimilate. Yeah, they used to want to assimilate. They don't want to assimilate now. On the John says Tim Waltz is going to get off scot-free, which is so infuriating. In fact, it's not only infuriating, but it also emboldens everybody else in their scams across the nation. It allows people like fucking Gavin Newsom to stand up and get caught lying and then lie again and say he's dyslexic, which is crazy.
Do you know what I hate? Do you know what I hate as a white person? As a white person, what I really hate is when you get people on the left, like Democrats, or in this country, Labour, Liberal Democrats, Green, is white people that will go to bat for corrupt migrants or illegal migrants or corrupt, like, say, someone like a corrupt Somalian politician in your country. White people will do anything and everything to protect them and defend them because they don't want to be seen as racist, even though they know in their heart of hearts that these people are corrupt, they're bent, they're scammers, and they shouldn't be holding public office in your country. They will never stand up and never say anything for fear of being excommunicated, criticized, called racist or whatever.
Well, it goes beyond that. You have to do an early life check to make sure what type of white they are, because there's a group of people that really kind of blend in. They're white when they want it to be white, and they're not white when they don't want it to be white. King Yeti in the chat, he says, diversity is our strength. Always reminds me of that cartoon of Adolf time traveling to now and learning about the term diversity as used to facilitate power and uses it to take over the world. Yeah, that's a very funny cartoon. He also says the Khazarians are going back home. Yeah, and also on the John says, self-hating whites are the worst. I completely agree with you on all of that. Now, before we jump into the war, James, I wanted to touch really quickly on the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier. Did you hear about this? It's turning around. It's coming back to port in I think it's in Crete or in Cyprus because a fire broke out. And of course, over here in America, land of the home, land of the brave, land of the free, where we basically don't get any news. We're told all of the cadets on there started that fire, but everybody else is reporting that it was hit by Iranian missiles, and they just don't want to tell us that. What are your thoughts on that, James? James, did you freeze? Oh wait, you froze up real quick. No, you froze. Let me replace this. I gotta fix that audio thing. Professor Grass told me how to fix it. I just haven't had the time to test it out. So bear with me for a second, people. As I
3 jobs and he's still doing it, man.
yeah,
Good for
Professor
him.
Grass is kicking ass. All right, you're back. You're back, James. But no.
Yeah, I tend to.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I tend to believe it was the Iranians.
I do
mean,
too.
we're supposed to. We're fucking. The thing is, with Cyprus, that's what kicks it all off for us. We're supposed to be. We got Cyprus got hit with an Iranian drone, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then like everyone was saying like our base, you know, we were supposed to be going out there sending ships. We were supposed to be going out there protecting it. We were supposed to be helping Americans because you were doing an 8,000-mile round trip, weren't you?
Yeah.
Because we weren't allowing you to use our bases,
Right.
like in the Diego Garcia. And like Trump was ripping into fucking Starmer, but Starmer can't get involved. I don't know how to stress this to you. You're going to find this really amusing. If you imagine we're a country of over 60 million people, right? But we can't get involved in this war because we have 6 million Muslims that completely hold sway in this country.
Yeah, they burn down your shit, bro. They will burn down your shit.
They hold sway. Like you said, they are in groups. They vote as a family. We got the local elections coming up in May. And if Labour do badly, Keir Starmer's out of a job. There, people are angling for it. So he knows domestically he can't get involved in this fucking war because we're held to ransom in this country by 6 million Muslims that hold sway in our votes. They basically taken all their voting power that was given to Labour politicians and Labour, and they vote Green now.
Yeah.
They said, right, we're going to Greens because Greens talk about the things that we care about. They talk about Israel and Palestine, and they're for Palestinians. They're for our rights. They're for Ramadan. They're for Eid Mubarak. They're for like spreading the gospel of Islam. They're for like they're even talking about the Greens of putting a dog tax on us. To own a dog, we're going to have to pay a dog tax.
No,
it's crazy. So I fully believe it. I fully believe you. You want to do a cover story, don't you? You want to say, look, we're just rowing back. You know what I mean? It was an accident, you know, friendly fire. You know what I mean? You know, that's why we have to come. But you know, the Iranians have got capabilities. They are running that straight right now.
Yeah.
Fucking oil prices are going through the roof.
Oh my
God. You know, they have literally, they are crippling. They are crippling Europe. They are crippling America. I told you earlier before we come off stream, April is the big month for bills in this country. Our bills are going through the roof. It's gone from, I think our bills are going to be like the bills in this country will be about 800 quid, you know, like TV license, broadband, electricity, gas, water. It would have been in April, we would have done about 800, but I think now we're up to 1,200.
Wow.
It's going to be 1,200 the bills are going to be.
We got Pat in the chat. She says the washing machines caught fire on the aircraft carrier. Yeah, I believe that. King Yeti says the dog tax is coming in New York City as well. Is that going to be a predominantly?
Is that a Muslim thing?
Is that a Muslim thing? Yeah. They want to regulate the dogs, so they're going to put a tax on them.
It's not haram, mate.
Yeah, in San Diego, they are trying to make a tax on surfers. You have to have a license to go surfing now. They're proposing that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
To tax everybody who wants to go in the ocean. Bro, what the fuck? It's over with. Like, what's going on? You know what it is?
It's an enjoyment tax, right? I genuinely think, right, we're living in a world where they don't want us to have any enjoyment. It's like wake up, go to work, come home, or like wake up, do your job from home, go to sleep. You know, they're trying to take our enjoyment. They're like alcohol going through the roof. You know, tax on smoking, tax on any little enjoyment that you can get in life. They're trying to bear down on you.
Well,
that's crazy.
That's part of the social, psychological exploitation is to wear you down so you don't have any resistance, that you're very compliant. King Yeti says the Muslims say the dogs carry demons. That's 100% right. It's because they're scared of dogs. So fuck them.
That's why they won't come around here, because I live in the country, don't I? And it's like they're getting really worried, right? The government, because like I said, the Muslims are spread. But there's a big voting block, like where I am and other places around the country where you'll see it's predominantly white. And they're saying, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get rid of the dogs, right? So they don't want them out in the countryside off the lead like they are around here.
Yeah,
they don't want them, you know, just walking around. So they're going to say, if we tax them, You know what I mean? Then people aren't going to get dogs. You know what they did in Scotland? I think it was Scotland. Yeah, they banned greyhound racing.
Yeah, I saw
They're
that.
banning greyhound racing. So what's going to happen is, right, all those greyhounds are going to get destroyed
Yeah.
because they're bred for greyhound racing,
Yeah.
and it's very hard to rehome a greyhound.
Yeah, 'cause
So
they're
all
crazy.
those are going to get destroyed. So that's another thing you're taking out of the breeding system. Greyhounds are going to go out of breed. They don't have hunting in this country anymore. So you've got gun dogs are going out of fashion. You know what I mean? They're getting rid of they've banned like bully dogs in this country. They're going after bullies and staffies.
Yeah.
You're not going to have any dogs at this rate.
Yeah, King Yeti says, try to take a pikey's dog. I dare you. Yeah, that's hilarious. You like dags? You like dags? Here's the thing is that, like, when are people going to wake up and realize that this voting thing is a fucking gambit? It's a sham. It's a scam. They do what they want, and then they tell you to vote about it, so you get delayed gratification, and you think that you can attribute some change when you're going to attribute zero change whatsoever. When are people going to wake up to this? You know, what's going to happen? It needs to happen soon. I don't know if it will happen, but it needs to happen soon. More men need to galvanize together. We need to get rid of this feminism. That's a bunch of bullshit that's allowed. Basically, the way I look at it is feminism was the fulcrum that allowed, or the crowbar that allowed them to open up the cracks and get all this shit into the West. We need to get rid of feminism. We need to tell women to, you know, suck it back up and, you know, get back in their place or whatever. Because this toxic empathy is destroying the West. You know, like On the John says, all the women will come out when they come for the dogs. I don't think so, On the John. They didn't. They won't. They're not coming out against the Sharia law. They're not coming out against the Muslims doing their thing. I think women are basically...
there's Sharia. You go from like, it just goes to steps, don't you? You go halal meat becomes the meat. You get Sharia advisory councils that basically run their area. Then you get an Islamophobia law, which is coming in this country. And then the last step will be Sharia law.
Yeah.
And if you say this, they go, you're crazy.
Yeah.
There's only 6 million of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but in 20 years, how many of them is going to be? They're talking about getting rid of the Church of England and making Islam the predominant religion in this country. I mean, you can't make this fucking shit up. It's crazy. I saw a thing. There was one of those girls that walk around with a little like microphone, and she's going, who do you fear more? Do you fear MAGA, or do you fear a Muslim that's running around shouting Allah or Akbar? And they were like, oh, I believe in freedom of religion, so I would fear the MAGA person more. And then this lesbian goes, well, I'm a lesbian, so I fear MAGA. I don't fear a Muslim who says Allah or Akbar. But she says, yeah, but you're a lesbian. They'll like stone you to death or throw you off a wall or something or hang you. And she's like, oh, no, they won't, you know, because I'm nice to them. They'll be nice to me when they get, they take over, basically take over and get the power. I'm like, how naive are you?
Wrong.
How naive are you?
It's like what Professor Grass says in the chat. Welcome to Britain. You're only allowed to be Muslim. The thing about women is that they want to go along with the trend. They want to be embraced by the group. They participate in groupthink, and so whatever's popular, they'll believe. It's a lot like this. What a girl likes, whatever her boyfriend likes, whatever her man likes. That's the way it works. Okay. Women, everybody knows this. The only people who don't know this are women who've been gassed up so much that they don't believe it. But they adopt other people's belief system because they're cool or they're fun or they're in vogue or whatever. And that's how you destroy a society. I was just talking about this with somebody else, the other day, is that there's so much in the advertising about, you have mixed race couples. Most women look at mixed race couples. I'm out and about, and I'm obviously a white dude, and I'm looking for, a chick or whatever. And most of the chicks that I'm looking for, they don't look at me because I'm, white. They don't like their dad. They don't like me. So they like, the fun thing that they just saw on entertainment, which is a mixed race couple. And that's kind of what they're looking for. Then they get black eyes or whatever about it, and they cry about it. I'm like, well, dude, what the fuck you thinking? That's the way the shit works, Don't call me racist or whatever. Just look at the statistics and tell me I'm wrong. So that's a little bit of rant there, James. Just to come off I had to get it out. I had to get it out. A little soapbox rant. But that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to take the men are going to have to galvanize. And I don't really care about the colors, what color men are, but men have to galvanize, and we have to look at our families as if they are the most important thing. As a man, I can build a bridge to any other man of any color if he's a family man. I can totally do that. I can identify that because we both have a stake in the future. We both want things better for our children as we go forward. You know, you want to make you don't want this fake food that they're piping down our throat right now. I got a couple of articles right here about the fake food, that the fake chocolate, the fake chicken, all this fake mayonnaise, all these chemicals that they're pumping into people's system through this
Chocolate's
fake
mad,
food.
man.
Yeah. And they're letting all that happen. They're letting it happen. They're making it happen.
If it's better, right? If life's better, right, and it's never been as good as it is now, and we're in this social liberal utopia, right? Let's go back. How comes I'm eating fucking synthetic chocolate, right?
Yeah.
That's half the size it used to be and double the price.
Yeah.
Tell me that. Tell me how that's better.
I got it right. I got it pulled up right here. They're making 100% fake chocolate, verified and true. Oreo, Cadbury, Toblerone, funded by Israeli biotech, producing fake lab chocolate because it's cheaper than farm chocolate. Is that what we want? I don't want fake chocolate, man. It's terrible. You know, so that's why look at the labels, people. They're not calling it real ice cream anymore. They're calling it like ice cream dessert or icy cream dessert. They're not calling it cookies with chocolate anymore, chocolate chip cookies. They're calling it chocolatey chips, like chocolatey with a Y. It's fake. You know, then I got this other one over here where they're you know, another one where they're making fake mayonnaise, toxic oils being pumped into all of the condiments, ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, all of that kind of stuff. It's terrible. And then I got one more over here. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me find it, where they're doing the fake chicken, 100% fake chicken, where they can create a whole chicken worth of well, wrong one, where they can produce a whole thing of fake chicken, 3D printed fake chicken, and a whole chicken's worth of meat in 2 seconds. Mr. Beast is doing this, bro. Mr. Beast, he just made those lunchlies with Logan Paul, and they were shit. And that's what they want to feed your kids, man. Just a bunch of garbage. So one of the things that I say is go back to taking back your kitchen, man. Make your own food. Keep that cancer and all that shit out of it. And speaking of cancer, you know, just to kind of, you know, circle this square this circle, we've had access to these ivermectin and what's this other one, fenbendazole, for over, it was reported 60 years ago that these were probable cures for cancer. And they kept it under wraps so that the pharmaceutical industry can make all the money off of it. It's mind blowing, James. It's mind blowing. All of the stuff that's coming out right now. What are your thoughts on that? I know I kind of went on a rant.
No, but they basically tell us, don't you? They basically say you're going to eat shit and you're going to enjoy it. You know what I mean? Your quality of life is going to be. Imagine like when they say your quality of life is going to be worse than your father or your grandfather or your great grandfather. We are living in a really fucking shit time, and it's no surprise to me. I've always believed, you know, when they say that we're striving for a cure for cancer, we're striving. I think they even did like a fucking episode. I can't remember. I think it might have been like
South Park, I think.
Family. Yeah, and Family Guy one where like Carter Pewterschmidt, he had a fucking cure for cancer, didn't he? And he was
Family Guy.
Yeah, Pewterschmidt Industries, and he was sitting on it, wasn't he? He was sitting on it, and it's like, you know, of course they've been sitting on a cure for cancer because, like you said, in your country we've got like statement that, you know, we've got the NHS. You know what I mean? You know, we got subsidized medicine, but like in your country, it's a fucking cottage industry. Could you imagine it would collapse if suddenly like these fucking cures were available? You know what I mean? I think they've been sitting on all kinds of fucking stuff that they don't tell us. It's like mushrooms, isn't it? They feed us shit and keep us in the dark. You know what I mean? They want to keep us alive with enough drugs for as long enough. You know what I mean? But they don't want to cure us when we get one of these fucking diseases.
Well, I mean, it's the epitome of vampirism, you know, or parasitism. When they're parasite you, you know. I'm so happy that that stuff came out about the CIA doing the global engineering or the environmental engineering with the chemtrails and everything like that. You can look up and see it. So if you can look up and see that the chemtrails are real, but people don't want to believe it, think about the meat and the food that you eat that people don't want to believe. I think I saw somebody the other day, I think it might have been, Kurt Metzger. He said, think about this, right? Think about all of the McDonald's locations in the world. They all serve beef hamburgers. Where's that beef coming from? It's not coming from cows, people. It's coming from lab meat, lab grown meat, and it probably has been for a long time. And they've been pumping that shit out and distributing it through fast food. I don't know if you remember, but maybe a year ago or a couple years ago, they had that the Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich that they let out every once in a while. And you know, I live close to Inglewood and Hawthorne and Compton. I lived in Hermosa Beach, and so we would hear about it all the time. The black people would line up for it. They'd be getting in fights over it, like at the Popeyes spicy chicken, the special new blend or something. It was probably lab grown meat, bro, and that's what it is. And they grow it so that it has a special taste that you kind of get addicted to. But it's all this lab grown meat, which is basically cancer cells that they grow, bro. It's fucking gross, stem cells and cancer cells. That's what they want to pump into us, James. It's crazy.
I have to say that's one of my guilty pleasures when you get black people fighting over fast food.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite things to watch. Videos of big fat black women with their asses hanging out fighting over a burger. I mean, if that doesn't like explain the culture, I don't know what does, man.
Yeah, I don't
Fucking
know how
hilarious.
lack of self-awareness that culture can be when they don't hold their own people accountable and they act like, oh, nothing's happening, it's completely okay, bro. That's wild to me. It's so wild that you have to watch out. Like even when I go out, like I have to watch out, keep my head on a swivel. You know, you see these groups running around robbing CVS's, Walmart's, whatever. And I've had that happen a couple of times, being in California and places around me. And so you have to always be looking out. You know, you can't just go along like an idiot on your phone. In fact, I don't ever take my phone with me when I go out and about anyway.
You can't, because if you take your phone out when you're in London in this country, they tell you this is how bad it is, right? So they tell you like, this is the great London that we live in under Sadiq Khan. You know, diversity is our strength, right? But they also tell you, don't ever have your hand out with your phone, because a little black kid in a hoodie is going to come along on a push bike and just speed along and whip it out your hand. The next thing you know, he's gonna turn it around and flogged it within half an hour. You know what I mean?
No,
and that's the crazy thing.
Well, you're 100% right. And in fact, they also make videos and they post them on YouTube of them going along and stealing phones, and they get a ton of views of them stealing phones and make money from not only stealing the phones, but also the views on YouTube. 100%.
Yeah, because it's an art form. It is an art form because they have to approach it at the right time, speed up, whip it, and then they're gone, mate. It's like, you remember the Grand Theft Auto with the black. You know, what was his name? You know, where you're always
Tyrone,
like going around on the push
Tyrone?
bike. Oh, I can't fucking remember. It's a shit one. I didn't want to play a black guy. I really hated that one. I like playing fat Italians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't want to play a black guy. But it was the whole thing, right? This is going off on a tangent, right? And I know people don't care, but the whole Academy Awards thing, right, became a race war between Timothy Chalamet and Michael B. Jordan. And it was like, I've seen Sinners, I've told you it's shit, but it was like, Michael B. Jordan has to win the Academy Award because he's black. And if he doesn't win the Academy Award because he's black, ergo it's racist.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. You ask them, did you watch the film with Timothy Chalamet? No, I didn't. So what do you think about it? Well, I can't have an opinion, but I just know that Michael B. Jordan's got to win the Academy Award because he's black. And if he doesn't, it's racist. It doesn't matter how good the film was or how good Timothy Chalamet was. He can't win because he's white. The black guy has to win. And that's how these people think. They don't think in terms of meritocracy or earned credit. They think in terms of race. Black guy, black woman must win. Well, I don't think like that.
Well,
if I thought Sinners was great, I would say, but it's shit. It's like A Poor Man's From Dusk Till Dawn. It's terrible.
Yeah, well, that's what's going on here, because once you remove the artist and the quality control, then what happens is they have to destroy the standard and they have to force you to consume the product because it's not good. That's 100%. We got Darren in the D-Wag in the chat. He says, supposedly you can't taste the difference between a veggie patty and a cow burger, except the veggie burger tastes better and it's way cooler. I don't know about that, D-Wag. Did you know the veggie burger actually has tons of chemicals in it, whereas the cow burger is pure? So you're basically just eating a mouthful of chemicals. And if you're into chemicals, maybe you want to turn into the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, or Spider-Man or something. Keep eating them chemicals, bro, but don't bring it around me or my family. I ain't into that, bro. We got Darren. He says, bro, I stay armed everywhere I go. I smash potatoes in the left and the fruit punch juiced up. Yeah. Bro, those are all chemicals, by the way, Darren. Take back your kitchen, bro. Quit eating all that crap, bro. You're gonna develop a third head or something. You know what I'm saying? That's not good.
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Jiki makes a very interesting observation. Movies are not eligible for the top 6 awards unless they have a BIPOC character in the movie. I believe there was a standard developed a while ago. It was developed as a joke. I forget what the term is, but there's all these checklists that they have to go through and make sure that they
There's a Rooney Rule, isn't there, in American football, where you have to fucking like interview a black coach, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's kind of seeped in now. I do hate it, right, when we talk about any form of entertainment, any form of movies, where we go past meritocracy. I really hate that. I care about the best of the best. I don't care about your skin color. But I do get very annoyed when you have something like the Rooney Rule and they're like, you've got to interview this black coach. You know what I mean? We need to get more black players in ice hockey. No one's shouting. We need to get more white players in basketball. It's a predominantly black sport. Fine. You know, the best players, the best athletes on the planet happen to be black. Ice hockey, the best players and the best athletes happen to be white.
Yeah.
It's no big deal to me. You don't need to get certain groups or certain demographics. You don't need to like shoehorn them in. There's no need for that. They always talk about this stuff. If they're the best, that's all that matters. That's how I feel. That's how I've always felt.
You know, the thing is that all entertainment is a form of social engineering. Okay, it used to be about meritocracy and quality, like you mentioned, James, but it is too powerful, and now it is a form of social engineering. We have King Yeti says 1 pound of ground beef a day is amazing for you. I completely agree with that. Ground beef, eggs, real butter. That's the way to go. Real cheese. Let's fucking go. Okay, we got
lollipops. Don't forget your lollipops, man.
well, those are all chemicals, James. Just letting you know. But yeah, you can get away with it for a little bit. You can get away. D-Wax says he's never ate a veggie burger. He refuses to be a soy boy. Well, good. Don't be a soy boy. Professor Grass says Franklin was the black guy. He was a driver in Grand Theft Auto. It was Franklin, 100%. There's a gray cloudy day says he will be a D-Wag boy. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but gray cloudy day.
Big D-Wag fan.
Yeah,
he's a big D-Wag fan.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I'm a D-Wag fan too.
No,
he's
got the aura. Everyone, he's got the aura. He's getting all these equipment together. He's going to start doing big streams. He's going to go through the roof, and we're all going to be here to see it.
That's right.
And I can't wait.
And he's going to pull us along with him. But all right.
Yeah. Well, not me. I'm gonna like end up by the wayside, I think. But we'll have a good run.
James, you're coming. What are you talking about, bro? We're gonna take you kicking and screaming. But no, what I wanted to talk about really quickly, it has a lot to do with why they're doing all this bioengineering of the food. It's because they're attacking the energy sources in the world. They're attacking the oil. They're attacking the gas. They're attacking the nuclear energy. And so when that happens, you can no longer have global trade the way we have. You know, I mean, we get, mangoes from Peru, we get bananas from Colombia, along with the cocaine and all that good stuff. But once like the oil energy and all of that's too expensive, then we're going to have to grow our own food where we're at. And I think that's where we're coming to. And we're going to have to feed the population. I think they're aware of this. I think that's why they've stopped all of these. They've tried to cull the cattle herds here in America where, beef used to be superfluous. You used to have that all over the place. Chickens as well. After World War II, we started growing chickens like crazy because chickens are fantastic. But what they're trying to do is replace all of that with bioengineered meats to try to force us to eat what they produce locally, or else we face a famine. And I think that's what they're trying to do. It reminds me a lot. I'm going to turn it over to you in a second, James. It reminds me a lot of that Joseph story in the Bible, where he saw that there was going to be a famine coming. So he stored up, he taxed all the people, stored up their grains, and then when the famine came, did he give it back to them? No, he charged them for it. And then after they ran out of things to sell, he allowed them to sell themselves into slavery. Think about that, people. Of course, we all know Joseph, early life check on him and how he basically enslaved a whole nation. What are your thoughts on any of that, James?
This is why I must be so lethargic, because of all the crap I'm eating. I used to last 60 seconds in the bedroom. Now I'm down to 30 seconds. This must be it. It's all these lollipops, man.
I'm serious.
It's stifling.
It's all chemicals.
It's stifling my productivity in the bedroom.
Yeah, high fructose corn syrup is terrible for the, what is it? Not the libido. It's terrible for it, bro.
Yeah, this is why I've got no fucking energy and I can barely muster 2 or 3 pumps now before I'm like passed out from exhaustion. It's like fucking I wondered why I wondered why my performance levels were taking this huge. I thought it was my age, and the
No,
lack of
it's
hair,
not.
but
No, you can.
obviously it's the lollipops. But no, whatever happened to you remember Ava Brook? She used to talk about Bill Gates and how he's buying up all the farmland
He
or we
is.
were going to
Yeah.
have to eat bugs.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened to that? I thought we were all going to be eating like fucking grasshoppers and fucking whatever. I don't know.
Well, they tried it and everybody rejected it. And so now what they're trying to do is then
Uh,
they had that what was that real meat company that they were trying to make the veggie burgers and that crashed. They tried the taste just like beef tried to give that to you. And it's interesting when you see the people they have the morals that they want everything organic, but then the women will also go out and buy these veggie burgers that are 100% chemicals and they'll give them to their children. Chicken nuggets also, if you guys aren't aware, chicken nuggets are 100%. It's not real meat, bro. It's lab grown meat. Hate to break it to you, but the one
I
thing
always thought it was like newspaper and shit like that. You know what I mean? Just stuffed with crap.
I know it's lab grown meat. All that processed food is going to be the first on the docket to be lab grown meat. You have to take back your kitchen. You have to if you've got a wife, God love her, try to get her excited about cooking, or if you are a man and she's wealthy and you can stay at home and cook, you stay at home and cook. I love cooking myself. I have a great time doing it. But
Yeah.
one of the ways to take back our country is to first take back our kitchen. If you remember back in the 50s, that's one of the first places they got women to think about being a feminist was in the kitchen. Oh, don't slave at the kitchen. And so they made those TV dinners. And I know D-Wag loves the TV dinners. D-Wag, quit eating those TV dinners, bro. Let me send you some steaks or something, man. Let me show you how to smoke some
Do you
meat.
remember those Morgan Spurlock documentaries? Do you remember those?
No, what was that?
Morgan
What were
Spurlock,
those?
where he would eat all those hamburgers, wouldn't he? Like for
Oh
like
no, I do
like
remember that.
100 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get a lot of these documentaries over here on the BBC and other channels where they take a food and they break it down. So they break down what's in a chicken nugget or what's in a burger, right? And when you know what's inside of them, you don't want to eat them, but somehow you still buy them because it's convenient. If you think about it, we were talking about this a long time about the breakdown of the family. What happens is you pass these things down through the generation. I've got an Italian family, so it will be passed from the great grandmother to the grandmother to my mother, and then obviously she hasn't got a daughter, so down through to me. And they were passed like healthy eating, the cooking, they you when you come from a family in Europe, you have like you get on the wine early, you have a little bit of wine at dinner. It's very social. They all live together.
That's what
It's
it's
very
supposed to
family
be.
orientated.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now we've got a lot of broken families. We've got a lot of divorce has never been higher. Divorce is through the roof. You know what I mean? We've got all these things and the lifestyle that we live, it's all very hectic and we don't have that structure anymore. So you find out people go for the convenience instead of taking out time to prepare, cook their food, eat together as a family around the table because we're never in one place at the same time. And you also have to bear in mind that when you're at a table now, someone's got a tablet or a phone or a fucking switch. It's all fucking, they're all disengaged. We kind of lost that. I think governments want to break down the family,
Well,
get rid of it because they don't want that social cohesion that you get from a family.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, James. And I'm going to say this, and it'll give you a little bit of food for thought right here. You got the Western families that are broken up through feminism, through all kinds of other stuff. They all live in different parts of the country or their state. All the families grow apart. But isn't it interesting that we import immigrants and we pay our own money so that they can stay together, so that the mother can stay at home, and so that we give them food so that they can cook, so that they can stay as a group. And then what they do is they bring their cousins, and they all stay in the same domicile. Then they expand out, they buy another one, and then they expand out. That is the way to win. That's the way to win. And I say this to all my Western brothers and sisters out there: consolidate your families as much as you can to reduce the cost and the overhead so that you're going to be able to do well and flourish in the times that are coming soon. No longer is it going to be this situation where at 18, you better be out of the house. You got to have your own rent. You got to have your own car. You got to have all this stuff. And if you don't have it, then you're an idiot. No longer is it going to be that way. It's going to be the situation kind of like in Asia. In Asia, they all have like maybe one person in the family will have a van, one person will have a car, one person will have a truck, and they rotate those vehicles based upon who needs them. They freely let it borrow back and forth. And then the family will loan the other parts of the family money in order to help them go bigger, and then they will reciprocate. That's the way we have to do it, people. That is the answer. Where it starts is in the kitchen, and it grows out by consolidating families, creating that 3-generation family. You got the grandparents, you got the parents, and you got the kids. In Italy, James, is it not true that a lot of them live in big houses together? Is that not the truth?
Yeah, they stay together. We've got. I think it's always prevalent, isn't it, in America? And if America sneezes, everyone catches a cold, and none more so than England, Britain, and the UK. There's this social stigma, isn't there? That if you're not out of the house at the earliest, you know what I mean? You're some kind of loser, or you're some kind of fucking mug or melt, you know, a drip. You know what I mean? You've got to go out in the world and make it. And that's true. You have got to go out in the world and make it. But you've also got to circle back, because I, for one, don't want my parents to die in a care home. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want my parents to die in the comfort of their own home or my home. I want them to be with me at that time. And I want to know that I've taken care of them like they took care of me from cradle to grave. You know what I mean? And that's very much an Italian culture, because in Italy, the families stay together. It's a very clannish, you know, old school Italians, not these new school Italians that you see, old school Italians. They're very clannish. They're all about the generation. So from the grandparents to the children, to the grandchildren, they will be with each other from the cradle to the grave, and they will rinse and repeat. And that's how they stay strong.
Yeah.
That's how the name continues. That's how the family flourishes. You basically take the idea that it's us against the world, backs against the wall. And I think more people are going to have to do this, because our government and your government are trying to break away and disintegrate the family from the indigenous people,
Yep.
whether they be in your country, whether they be Italians, whether they be Irish, even fucking black people,
Yep.
you know, Latin American, South American, whatever. You're being supplanted by Muslims and African migrants that have that mentality that it's us against the world. We stay together. We put our backs against the wall. We do our thing, our way, our culture. And eventually we're going to supplant the indigenous people, and we're going to taken over, and we're going to do a role reversal. The ethnic minorities are going to be us, you know, the white people. We are going to be in a minority. Or, you know, I think not necessarily the black people, but maybe like the Latin Americans. Maybe in this country, we don't have any. So it'd be like white people predominantly in this country will become the minority. I don't really know the demographic in your country, how it'll work, but you'll be supplanted by North African migrants and Muslims.
No, I completely agree with you, James, and that's why I say I can ally with any man who has this family first mentality. It doesn't matter what necessarily what their color is. And the West needs to take this, lesson, and just looking at it from a purely financial standpoint. The Western families have way too much overhead for what's coming versus the immigrants that they're importing. We're not producing enough kids. We have too much debt, too much overhead, not enough production. We have to reconsolidate, and we have to focus back on production. This is just a purely spreadsheet mathematical equation. The formula tells us what's what. We got King Yeti in the chat. He says he's sitting there in his living room, literally staring at 100 pounds of rice, beans, canned meats, and hundreds of ramen noodles that just came in today. King Yeti, that's the way to do it, bro. 100%. Cheers to you. I'm going to give you a little bit of clap right there. 100%, bro. But, I got myself an all-American canner. I did the same thing. I learned how to can meat. I learned how to can vegetables. I got the biggest one that they make so that I could do a whole load of them. I got the same things you got, those dry staples that never go bad. Also, people, don't ever buy those food buckets. That was a big craze on a lot of these podcasts for a long time. It's like, oh, Ben Shapiro says, buy this food bucket. You know, it's 100 pounds of, no, bro, all it is carbohydrates with all kinds of chemicals in it. You won't shit for a week if you eat that stuff. You'll be so constipated that it's not going to work. Let me just jump down here in the chat. We got Professor Grass says, LFMAO, pure Kroger is awesome. Yeah, pure in quotation marks, being faked. King Yeti says, fully cooked meat sliced in lard will last forever. 100%, bro. I also learned how to smoke meat. That's super important. You can create all kinds of stuff. And then you can also, on the back of that, create a business that can help your community. You can become very, very important on that end. you're not just a net negative like James and I were talking about. You become a net positive. So King Yeti, he looks like he's got his head on right, and he's kicking some ass out there. Shout out to you, King
Yeah, I
Yeti.
remember people used to do jams and preserves and everything, and sauces. They would do them, bottle them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just stuff like that they used to do.
Yeah, no, I still do some of the jams and sauces. The only thing is it's hard to get the good fruit because all the fruit now they pick it before it ripens, then they put it in the trucks and pump it full of methane gas to fake ripen it. And then when they deliver it, they put this wax appeal bullshit on it. So you're putting all those chemicals into it. So, if I live next to like a blueberry or a blackberry brambles or something like that, I would do it all the time. But 100%. Let me just go ahead and we're coming up. We're at the end of the second hour, people. That flew by. Let me just shout out.
We race through this shit, don't we,
yeah.
you and me? We just race through it, man.
I have a blast talking with you, James, and talking with everybody in the chat. It's just so much fun.
Mate.
Let me just go back up and see what we got. Pat says, thanks, D-Wag. We got D-Wag out here says, Gray, you might be able to lend James some help with his stamina. We're talking to Graybeard. We got
he's on the video today. I saw it. I haven't watched it all yet, but I left a comment where he was out on a walk, done about an hour's walk. It's fucking great stuff, man. He's also doing like Bible stuff. You know what I mean? You should go follow like Gray Cloud. He's a good guy.
Yeah, let's fucking go, Gray Cloud, 100%. We got Monk Fruit out there. Shout out to you. He's out in Indiana. He says women be shopping. That's what they do. Women are 80% of the shopping base in America. 80%. Think about that. It might be even higher than that. Mr. Jiki said, if people won't buy it, they will price everyone out of it. $10 gas to start, $50 beef, make backyard chickens illegal, etc. Yeah, I'd love to have me some backyard chickens. The only thing is out where I am, it gets so damn hot, I'd probably have to install a air conditioner for them. Gray cloudy day. Zaid, he says, what's up, Z-Wag? King Yeti, shout out to you. I'm just jumping through the chat. D-Wag, shout out to you, bro. D-Wag says his mom passed down the family recipe of snack cakes and soda. D-Wag, cut that shit out, bro. Hit the gym, get some good stuff. Get some fucking ribeye steaks, bro. Some ribs, sausages, that good stuff. Let's fucking go, bro. Gray Cloudy Day says, heck yeah, Yeti. Let's see who else we got talking in the chat. King Yeti says they made chickens illegal here in 2009. Yeah, they're trying to do that also here. I just happen to live out in a San Bernardino County, which is a lot lax than everywhere else in California. California is bullshit, bro. Bullshit. Harry can back me up on that one. Hillbilly Harry. Who else we got? King Yeti. Carrie C. Shout out to you, Carrie C. Only one neighbor got grandfathered in, she said, for the chickens. Well, James, what are your final thoughts wrapping this up? I know we covered a lot of stuff. We're right over the 2-hour mark. What are your thoughts on that?
We're in the super bit, aren't we? We've got to try and like extricate ourselves from it and try and like find a path, really. It's like we've got this convergence, haven't we, what's going on in England and what's going on in America, and it's happening at a rapid pace on many different levels, many different layers, many different facets. And it needs, like you said, it needs some strong men to rise up, definitely in politics, because Donald Trump has been an incredible disappointment. You know how I feel about Sir Keir Starmer, the Labour government. He's an incredible disappointment. He's a panderer to the 6 million Muslims in this country, so you're not going to get anywhere with him. And his replacement is going to be just as bad, if not worse. So, you've got problems, haven't you? MAGA's dying, America first, Gavin Newsom's probably the heir apparent. He's probably going to be the next president. It's a shit show all around, isn't it? But like you say, you've got to put your backs against the wall. You've got to think more small ball. You've got to put your family first. You've got to regenerate and regrow through that, friends, family, your community. You've got to come together. You've got to try and make the best life you possibly can while we're around. You know what I mean? You got to try and find a way around it, because the government ain't going to help you. The government's not for you. The government is generally against you and against what you want out of your life and how you want to prosper in this world. So you just got to try and bulldoze through it and make the best of it that you can.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, James. Go follow James on James Domenico Graben. Here he is over here on YouTube. James Domenico Graben 81 on YouTube, and James Domenico Graben on X. Give him a good follow. I completely agree with you on that one. Also, go buy a mug. If you want a mug, you want to be happy. We got cats with AK-47s. We got Alex Stein over here. We got Vito. Buy a mug if you're looking for it. The other thing I wanted to say is if you want to know more about what's really going on with the world, go listen to Professor Zhang on predictive history. I know people have come out and said a lot of bad things about him, a lot of good things about him too, but he's the most accurate out of anybody that I've heard that talks about how the world really works. So go check him out. He talks about a lot of good stuff, a lot of game theory, great books, different things of that nature, what's going on with the world, why America can't win this war, primarily from a financial standpoint. Our missiles cost $2 to $4 million a piece. Iranian drones cost $7,000 to $10,000. It doesn't match. It doesn't work, and it's gonna, yeah, it doesn't math. It's gonna break the petrodollar, and that's not gonna be great. So go check that out. But what I would like to say as I switch back to the Zoom chat is that thanks everybody for coming and hanging out. We're all trying to get through this. We are going to get through this, people. We're awake. We're seeing it. We're gonna see what's going on. Re-embrace your family. Of course, don't take any shit from them and don't take any abuse. That's not what I'm saying. But those bonds are what's going to be important, and you're going to see how important they become if we go through another thing like America went through in the Depression during the 30s. And people are talking like that could be coming. So brush up on your cooking skills. Take back your kitchen. Re-embrace your family. Get your woman interested in cooking. Get her excited. Show her that she can get attention through her cooking. As she gets older, she will still get a lot of attention through making good food and good quality. And she'll be the heartbeat of that entire family. She'll be the matriarch of the family through the kitchen, and everybody will love her. Everybody will talk about her for generations about, oh, you remember when grandma cooked that great, roast, or you remember when grandma could cook the great pheasant or the duck, or grandma cooked their great pies. She'll be remembered forever, and she'll absolutely love it. She'll be the apple of everybody's eye. And, when she sees that, she'll embrace the cooking. She'll love it. She'll appreciate it. And make sure you give her the best tools and you support her in that endeavor. As a man, I speak from a man's point of view in that respect. And hopefully, if you're a woman out there and you're cooking for your man, hopefully he appreciates the hell out of you, because that's the way to do it. Big hat tip to you for doing that. So thank you. But James, with that being said, knuckles to everybody in the chat and everybody out there. I'm going to do this one so I can click. Go out there, kick some ass, and take advantage of the day while you got it, people. Let's go.